Imagine a room. Concrete walls. No windows. A steel door that doesn't open. You're alone. Completely alone. No voices. No faces. Nothing but the sound of your own breathing. How long before you lose your mind? The answer is disturbing. For some people, it takes just 48 hours. In 1951, researchers at McGill University paid college students to lie in isolation chambers. They expected participants to last weeks. Most couldn't make it past 7 days. They started hallucinating, hearing voices that weren't there, seeing geometric patterns crawling across the walls. One student became convinced the room was haunted. Another forgot his own name. These weren't prisoners. These weren't torture victims, these were healthy, paid volunteers who could leave whenever they wanted, and their minds still shattered. This is what silence does to a human brain. Not over years. Not over months. Over days. Scene: McGill University 1950s black and white laboratory footage. Isolation chamber equipment. Your brain is not designed for solitude. This isn't philosophy. It's neurobiology. The human brain requires constant external stimulation to maintain its basic architecture. When you talk to someone, see a face, hear a voice, your neurons fire in specific patterns. These patterns keep you sane. They keep you anchored to reality. Remove that stimulation, and something terrifying happens. Your brain starts generating its own input. It creates sounds that don't exist, images that aren't there. Entire conversations with people who never spoke. Neuroscientists call this phenomenon stimulus hunger. Your brain is starving, and like any starving organism, it will consume whatever it can find, even if that means cannibalizing its own perception of reality. But here's what makes solitary confinement even more insidious than those laboratory experiments. Those McGill students could quit. They knew safety was one decision away. Prisoners in solitary have no escape. And that psychological difference? It breaks people faster than the isolation itself. Scene: brain scan MRI imaging showing neural activity decreasing. The United States didn't invent solitary confinement by accident. It was designed with terrifying precision. In 1829, Eastern State Penitentiary opened in Philadelphia with a revolutionary idea. Total isolation would force criminals to reflect on their sins and emerge reformed. Prisoners lived in complete solitude. They worked alone, ate alone, even exercised alone in private yards with walls so high they could only see the sky. Guards wore socks over their shoes so footsteps wouldn't break the silence. When prisoners left their cells, black hoods covered their faces so they couldn't see another human being. The reformers called it penitence through solitude. The results called it something else entirely. Within years, the prison reported epidemic levels of mental breakdowns. Prisoners became catatonic. Others developed psychotic disorders they never had before entering. Charles Dickens visited in 1842 and wrote that the system inflicted immense torture and agony that no one could see from the outside. He called it worse than any physical punishment. The experiment was considered a failure over 150 years ago. And yet today, America holds more people in solitary confinement than any nation on earth. Scene: historic prison corridors, long hallways, abandoned cells. What exactly happens to the human mind